What's good, YouTube, man? Coming with you another video today, and we're gonna be talking about your favorite hybrid, Ichigo Kurosaki. And what we're gonna be talking about today is the controversy of, do you have a problem with Kubo making Ichigo have pretty much every power in the series? He goes through the power of Soul Reaper, Hollow, Fullbringer, and a Quincy, right? Spoilers if you're not caught up on 1,000 Year Blood War arc, but to like we're about to get the last season, so you should be up to date by that. And you're missing out if you're not. So get straight into it, man. One thing we want to talk about is like, why does Ichigo have every single power? A lot of people that are like just like very like scarce and don't really watch, like we don't really watch or don't read the series like really too in depth. They kind of just like skim through it. It's like I feel like those people are the ones that have the most questions, that are like, this guy got everything. What the fuck? This like, oh, he just got everything, It feels kind of lazy, you know what I'm saying? You just, oh, new faction or current opposing faction. Guess what? Ichigo got a piece of y'all power as well. But that's not really the fact of the matter. The fact is, it makes sense, and everything is laid out from the very beginning, pretty much, that Ichigo is like everything, right? The hollow one is kind of like, you don't you get a little bits and pieces of it early on. It doesn't really start hitting you until Soul Society. But obviously that's like also the plot point at the end of Soul Society, is that you find out about the hollow, but you don't really learn too much about it till then. The Quincy stuff is referenced at the very beginning, and then there's also a little subtle subtle little themes, like it shows you Ichigo's bed, like it's like the theme of the bed pattern is like of a, looks like a Quincy cross type of deal, and that could be people just being, just looking too deep into it, but it's still there. And authors like mangakas like to do that little stuff. They throw little subtle hints here and there, right? And I fully believe that Kubo had every intention of making Ichigo every single one of these things, because you see it, even like the story makes sense with his mother, right? Why his mother died, the Grand Fisher. Why, his dad wasn't able to sense it, wasn't able to help. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it just makes a lot more sense, right? And a lot of things that annoy me is like when people just start saying like, "Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is just an asshole." Or Ichigo, just give him a power up, give him the power of the other enemy faction. But like, all the powers mean something. The only one you can argue about is the Fullbringer, but the Fullbringer is just a different case in its own thing. It's like these people were like touched by hollows, like, and like it impact, and like I forgot like the exact semantics of how it like meshed with their soul and stuff like that, because that's why like Chad is considered a full bringer as well. But it's just one of those things where like, when you see people constantly talk about things, you just like, it's like a confident wrong answer that a lot of people put out there, and a lot of people make fun of it, right? And I don't feel like we do the same with like Naruto, right? Now, granted, you can be like, well, what the fuck's wrong with Naruto? Well, a lot of people, you could literally poke fun of, as like, oh, this kid, like, and you actually do hear it a lot. But this kid went from like, oh, the story felt like, even the story doesn't tell you that, but the story feels like he's just an underdog, right? He's just an underdog. He wasn't really given much, and he was placed a demon inside of him, blah blah blah. But then later on, the demon ends up making him super powerful. Then he comes from a lineage of like high chakra value and people with Uzumakis, and then like his dad obviously being a genius as well. And then he was the reincarnation, and then yeah, it's just like, it kind okay, I kind of overdid it. Naruto gets its shit for as well. Naruto gets its shit as well, but I feel like people explain the Naruto bit a lot bit more than they do the Bleach, and that might just be because the Bleach universe isn't, the Bleach like franchise isn't as popular as Naruto is. As much as I hate to say it, I prefer Bleach over Naruto. I mean, I'm not one of those weird like people that try and like restructure the big three, because a lot of people don't even know what the big three is like. Isn't the three most popular anime. Like I mean, I've seen that lately. Like it's just like, and it's usually a rage bait post, but it's like it's time to replace Bleach out of the big three with like Demon Slayer or Attack on Titan or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I think it's just like it's a mixture of rage bait and a mixture of people not actually knowing what the big three is actually symbolizing, right? But in my opinion, right, it goes One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. That's my big three right there. But one thing that a lot of people just always just harp on is just like, Ichigo just got every power, man. Like it's kind of just like loses his luster. You think you got Ichigo figured out, and then just give him another power, and it's just like, but everything is like handcrafted, and the story straight up tells you along the way, right? Whether it be from literally you finding out, even the U-Haul stuff was crazy, right? And there's legit people out there who will sit there and tell you that when you watched One Piece or not One Piece, Bleach back in the day, when you see Old Man Zangetsu for the first time, you're like, oh man, nah, Kubo didn't intend that to be U-Haul. Nah, that had nothing to do with it. But it makes sense when you look at what like White was saying and how Old Man Zangetsu was talking. And I believe it's if you watch it in sub, right? And I think it does this in the dub as well. But when he speaks, when Old Man Zangetsu speaks and he tries to say his name, it's like they line through it, right? They literally put a line through it, and it's kind of symbolic of how the Zero Division captain guy is able to erase like things out of existence, right? And that's kind of like put that black smear on his name, because therefore his name doesn't exist, right? The name had been forgotten, and that's partially why you can kind of allude to like other people not knowing about the Quincy King is because it was kind of erased from the history books. People still remember, obviously, but like I said, the name has power. If you get rid of the name, then a lot of like shit is forgotten about it. But then even then, like I said, you have he was handcrafted early on, showing you, hey, this is Ichigo's Quincy powers, and it's a reason why he was like the gatekeeper of Ichigo's Soul Reaper powers, because obviously Soul Reaper and Quincy's, they're obviously at the two ends of this different spectrum. So like they obviously don't want he doesn't want Ichigo, which he views as a child as a Quincy. He views that as like his Quincy child, that he doesn't want him to like go down the Soul Reaper path, right? So he's trying to negate the Soul Reaper power from coming out, and that's why White is typically seen in like inside of him. And then, but you can't. But it does pose a lot of it does pose questions where later on, like in the Aizen Fate Card Court arc, you see when they combine, right? When it looks like White and Zangetsu combine, they become, and it looks like that's just his hollow and his Shimigami powers combining. That is where it becomes a little sketchy. It's just like, whoa, what was really, the point, of where was the Quincy portion at? But you can easily say that it's not like Ichigo didn't have his access to his Quincy like Ryatsu, because that's what he could have had when they fused and he became one with his Zangetsu. He didn't get the true name and the stuff like that, but he was in his Dongai form, his fully adapted form. Like they make a point to tell you once he's realized full Zangetsu, right? And finally gets back up to face you all the first time. He's like, oh, looks like you're finally back to the power you were when you fought Aizen, blah blah blah. So like it's kind of like showing you that yeah, he didn't. It wasn't like he was out here whipping out his his dual wield Zangetsus, um, and he wasn't like being able to shoot his Quincy bow abilities type of deal. But that Ryatsu was still there, right? And that's why when Ichigo became like obviously he was the final Getsuga and loses his powers, he doesn't have anything, right? And you would think like, oh well, he just used the Shinigami powers and his hollow powers. Then he should still have the hollow power, the Quincy powers, right? But I feel like those were melded actually in, and you actually got a hybrid, and that's why Ichigo was so unbelievably strong out of the Dangai. So I believe everything is well put together as far as to why Ichigo is the way he is. But the question is really is do you have a problem with how has written to have all the powers, or do you think it's good? I personally think it's well written. I like if you're gonna give a character like all these different powers, at least like drip feed it to make it sense over the series, as opposed to, or you can go the other route of literally just at the very beginning of the show. Hey, this guy has powers of Quincy, Soul Reaper, Hollow, all in like by episode 10 we find that out, right? It kind of ruins the stakes, kind of ruins some of the storyboarding. You know, we probably would have, like I said, we'd probably have a worse story. But I do feel like what Kubo did was the best way of going about things. But yeah, man, that's all I really want to get off my chest. Man, just get my thoughts out there and think about like why Ichigo is like considered a meme for like having all the different abilities, and like why I think it's good. I don't think it's bad writing. I don't think it's just an assful or whatever. But yeah, so y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Y'all be good. Please like and subscribe. Peace.